This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
It's insane Waddle doesn't have one explosive TD all year. Well, it's not an explosive offense. So how can it be insane? It's hard. It's hard to, really. He did have the one screen that took off down the field, but he didn't score. I get that. I think it went like 50 or 60 yards, but it didn't score. Yeah. This is a terrible offense, man. Terrible coaching, terrible design, terrible setup from play to play. There's no rhyme or reason with what's going on. That's why you see trick plays in the rain last week. Listen, this is not on the players at all. This is all on Flo and his coaching staff. That's what a lot of people don't see. And when you're picking on the players, sometimes if your coaches don't understand how to prepare and how to set your team up, your players aren't going to have success. And that's really the problem with the Miami Dolphins. Did you guys see the coach, Pepe Le Pew? So Omar Kelly, can you pull that up for me, Sean? Omar Kelly is asking Pepe Le Pew about what improvements he's seen from the line this year. Now, I want you to listen to Pepe Le Pew, which is Lem Jean-Pierre is the name. This is a guy that barely has any kind of NFL experience. Okay, he was like an assistant for the Raiders and really wasn't in charge of the line or anything like that. And you can tell, this guy might be a good offensive line coach 5, 10 years from now. He's a really young guy. I feel bad for him, really, in a way. He reminds me of Ted Ginn. And I don't even know if he'll be as good as Ted Ginn was in his career eventually. But I mean it in this sense. They drafted Ted Ginn at number 9 overall. It's not his fault that the Dolphins overdrafted him, and he was a guy that probably should have been taken late first, second, maybe early third, somewhere in that area. You know what I mean? He would have been like an all right late first round pick, solid second round pick, really good early third round pick, right? That's kind of how his career would have shaped up if he would have been as a number 9 overall. Forget about it. It just never met it. Well, you expect this guy to turn down the job? No, he's going to take the job. He's going to give it a go if you got any guts and you want to try. So God bless him. Take the money. Be the guy. See if you can do it. But he can't do it. So that's the problem. It's not his fault that he's in this position. It's Brian Flores' fault that he's in this position. I want you to listen to Omar Kelly ask the question, and I want you to hear the response, the stumbling and a bumbling. Let's listen to Coach Pepe Le Pew.
Omar?
Lam, I wanted to ask you a question about the unit's performance, which has been fairly inconsistent at times. It's somewhat limited the offense in terms of what you've been able to do from a run game standpoint and also from a protection standpoint. Where have you seen the most improvement from this unit so far this season?
Improvement, yeah. Like you're saying, like times it just seems like we gotta keep working our fundamental techniques. And the thing about just being in the trenches in general is that's something that's always going to be worked on. Even if you got an older guy, stuff like that. So the big thing is we gotta keep improving on our consistency, like you're saying, being intentional about everything we're doing, every play, one step at a time. The improvement is, I think, you get to see the mental toughness in these guys, and the drive and the finish, things like that. You get to see that in terms of what I see, and in the meeting room, stuff like that. And on the field, I mean, again, we have to improve on the consistency anyway. But I think, in general, like the understanding, the knowledge, those things have been getting better. And then, our techniques have been getting better. But like you said, you said yourself, we must be consistent in this league, especially in the trenches, going against these type of defenses, these athletes up front.
he basically can't even answer the question. I mean, it was stumbling and bumbling. And look, here's the problem with all of this. He's not good enough, and he's not experienced enough to know if they're any good or if they can get better, because he doesn't know how to teach them at this level, because the people he's going up against are smarter than him. And I'm not just talking about the coaches that are going up against Pepe Le Pew. I'm talking about the players that are going up against his players. They're more experienced, they're smarter, they're not more talented. The problem is when you're not prepared, you're not going to be set up for this situation. You know what I'm saying? And that's really eventually the issue going on here with the offensive line with the Miami Dolphins. They just don't have the coaching. And if you don't have the coaching, look, perfect analogy. Most kids, not all, okay, because you have your Dwayne Wades and you have your Alonzo Mournings of the world, right? They didn't have the greatest upbringing, yet somehow or another they ended up being pretty damn good people, right? But more often than not, okay, outside of the freaks like Wade and Zoe, who are freaks, you know, most kids need a foundation, right? I mean, look at the kid that just shot some other people now with a gun at school. His parents basically egged it on. His parents basically bought the gun for him. And that's because the kid ends up being a disaster, because look at the parents. They're a disaster. So if you have poor leadership, then you're going to end up following that. And if you hang out in a bad neighborhood and you're constantly hanging out with bad kids, well, then that's going to end up influencing you in the wrong ways. And you're going to end up, not always, not every kid, okay, but it's going to happen to a lot of kids, right? Those of you that are Latin, your parents used to tell you, dime con quién tú andas, yo te digo quién tú eres, right? Tell me who you hang out with, I'll tell you who you are. That's what that is in Spanish. And so this is the same thing. If you don't have the parents to guide you, your kids are going to be a disaster. If you don't have the right structure in your country, whether it's the president, whether the financial decisions that you make, it's going to be disastrous for your country. That's why the Feds yesterday talked about all the rate hikes and everything going on, and everybody freaked out. And of course, look at all the money you printed. Got to somehow bring it back. If you have poor leadership, your country's going to go to crap, right? Nothing changes. It's all the same. And for 25 years now, the Dolphins cannot find the right leadership. And this is the same thing. And this is why you end up with the teams that you've ended up with Cam Cameron and with Adam Gase and with Sperano and all the other, people that you've had here. And now this guy. And that's what you hire. See, that's the part that you got to understand. This is the best that Pepe Le Pew can do. That's pretty bad.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.